Can you tell us how this happened, to the extent we know?
Well, we know one thing for sure: the cartel's behind it. They're violent. They're reckless. They don't care about human life. They demonstrate that on a daily basis. Back in June, we had double-digit homicides by the cartel, same areas. Again, it's sad. So we know the cartels. There's indication that they were innocent bystanders when they shot these family members from America. But again, either way, when you're shooting an 8-month-old child out of a car seat, there's something wrong.
I mean, people getting murdered and set on fire in the middle of a highway sounds like something out of Syria. It sounds like a scene out of a war zone. Are you concerned that this is right below you? This is nearby.
We're very concerned, and local law enforcement, state, and our federal partners, we're working very closely together. We continue to work closely together. This all goes back, Tucker, to having a secure border, too. You know, in the first 9 months of the year, we've had over 1,000 gang members, known gang members, try to enter our country from 20 different countries. We need a secure border. That cartel that runs that southern border, it's time that, I know President Trump stepped up today with the President of Mexico saying, let's get together on this. We need to step up, unify two countries, and go out, just like we did with ISIS, go after that cartel.
So you would put this in the same category of threat?
Oh, definitely, Tucker. Think about what ISIS does, and think about what the cartels do. They terrorize. They kill both their own citizens, they kill Americans, as demonstrated last night. They're no different. They decapitate humans, I mean, everything you could think of. And again, they've infected every community in this country by putting their illicit drugs throughout our country. Yeah. It's time we step up and list them as terrorists, I think.
They've killed far more Americans than ISIS has, far more. So does it make sense not to secure our borders? I mean, in some places we don't know who's coming or going.
Well, that's exactly right. Like I said, over 1,000 gang members have been identified on the southwest border the first 9 months. We've had 141 countries, different individuals from 141 countries in the first 9 months on the southwest border entering our country. That should be alarming.
It's infuriating. Thank you, Sheriff Daniels. I appreciate that update from the border tonight. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Tucker.
Well, as you just heard, northern Mexico is the epicenter of a war between the Mexican government and cartels. That war has been marked by mass executions and beheadings. The violence is getting worse and is driven in large part by a booming market for illegal drugs. Mexico's murder rate hit an all-time high this year. It was already high. Now it's the highest ever recorded. And when the cartels aren't killing one another, they're killing us in this country. About 50,000 Americans overdosed on opioids last year, and much of those narcotics came through Mexico. Earlier this week, volunteers searching for missing relatives discovered 48 bodies decomposing in a mass grave just 42 miles from the Arizona border. There may be more there. We don't know. The group was stopped from searching the area when armed gunmen showed up and chased them off. Thousands of similar mass graves, thousands, have been discovered in recent years. Just this September, another group discovered more than 2,000 bones belonging to an estimated 150 people, including many children, at a similar mass grave, all murdered by the drug cartels. Nearly 60,000 people have been reported missing in Mexico in the last 20 years. Most of them will never be found. Just this past August, Mexican police found 9 bodies hanging from a highway overpass outside Mexico City. 7 mutilated bodies were dumped on a nearby road. A few miles away, 3 more bodies, some of them women. The cartel responsible left a banner on the overpass threatening its rivals. This is a fact of life throughout Mexico. In the face of this brutality, the Mexican government has in effect given up. Last month, Mexican authorities released a leader of one of the nation's biggest drug cartels after the cartel launched a military-style assault on the capital city of Sinaloa. In the end, the Mexican government surrendered. Mexico, in other words, is becoming a failed state, even as Congress and the courts block any effort to construct a border wall or protect this country from the violence destroying our nation to the south. How long can this go on? Mark Morgan is the acting commissioner of Customs and Border Protection. He joins us tonight. Mr. Commissioner, thanks very much for coming on. Are we overstating the crisis in Mexico?
No, we're not. And Sheriff Daniels, Tucker, was spot on. And this is what we've been saying all along. So first, when we talk about the crisis, right, we were told it was a manufactured crisis.
Right.
And then when they couldn't perpetrate that lie anymore, they said, well, it's just a humanitarian crisis. Well, no. We've been saying from day one, it's both a humanitarian and national security crisis. Sheriff Daniels, spot on. On southwest border alone, almost 1,000 68,000 gang members. We talked about the narcotics that are pouring into this country. While 50% of our resources were pulled off taking care of children and families, our seizures of the 4 hard narcotics, methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl, actually skyrocketed up. And last year, there was actually 68,000 deaths due to illicit overdose.
I don't understand. So I've been watching television for the past couple of weeks, and I hear all these reporters telling me that our military, and our military seems to agree, that our generals do, has an obligation to protect the Kurds and to do their bidding in northern Syria. Why wouldn't we be moving our forces to our border to protect us from a war that is killing tens of thousands of Americans through drug ODs?
That's absolutely right. I mean, American citizens are dying every single day. Your listeners need to understand that the cartels, look, unfortunately, what we just talked about the deaths that just happened yesterday, that's not uncommon. And you just rattled off several examples.
Picked almost at random.
Absolutely, Tucker. That's happening every day. Now, what is unusual is that it's Americans that's killed.
Right.
But the drug trafficking organizations are warring with each other every single day over the smuggling routes because it's so profitable, because it's working every single day. Drugs are pouring into this country. Gangs are coming in this country every single day. And illegal aliens are coming to this country every single day. It's a national security crisis. So when we talk about the wall, it's so disingenuous when they say, well, we're trying to prevent people from just trying to find a better life. No. We're trying to protect our country from drugs coming in, killing our citizens, from gang members coming in, from criminal aliens coming in. That's why we need the wall.
Life expectancy for American men has dropped for the 3rd year in a row. And the main fact driving that is the influx of narcotics from Mexico here. But I guess my question is, what about the Kurds? Sorry, just kidding. Bitterly kidding. So when you hear politicians say that our first obligation is to make sure that we resettle everyone from Latin America who wants to come here, what's your reaction to that?
Look, my response is disgust, and that's not from a political ideological standpoint, but from a law enforcement professional that over 2.5 decades have served this country, and I served another 10 in this military. We are absolutely not doing what we're supposed to be doing, Tucker, to safeguard this country. I do not understand why, like you suggested, we're not given every resource we possibly can to stop drugs from pouring in, to stop gang members from pouring in, like Sheriff Daniels